You know, I came from El Paso, Texas, yesterday, and all the way through Albuquerque, and seeing so much degraded land that you feel so sad seeing it. But I'm not here talking about sad things. I'm here bringing you hope that even I'm going to ask you a question. Do you think that we can change all that landscape from El Paso to here and seeing what probably the first colonizers saw here, these beautiful grasslands, tall grasslands, and this more benevolent weather? Do you think we can change that? Do you think we can restore that, all that arid land? I do believe so, and we're seeing that in the state of Chihuahua, Mexico. Let me give you a little bit of background where we are. We're in Chihuahua, Mexico, nested in the Chihuahuan Desert. Our precipitation is 10 inches per year. And on the last years, we got about 8 inches on the last 5 years. Last year was a pretty tough year, 4 inches. And this year we were blessed with 11 inches. That's our environment. That's our ranch. Our ranch's name is Las Damas Ranch. And actually we have like a mountain range, we have flat land, we have what we call malpais, or these rocky hills. So we actually deal with different environments within the Chihuahuan Desert. Well, that's a 30,000 acre ranch. And all the pictures that you're gonna be seeing is actually, we haven't really used any mechanical, we haven't really been fighting mesquite. We're not spraying anything. We just work for what we want, and we let nature help us with that. No seeding, any seeding. So that's our rainfall pattern, which may not be really that different from here, from Albuquerque. We had the monsoon, 3 months of rain, and that's, on those 3 months, July, August, and September, we have to grow enough grass to take our cattle all the way through the next rainy season. We're trying to be a low input operators, so cows have to harvest their own feed. We don't have any irrigated pasture. We don't have water rights, thanks God, because you know the problem with water rights here in the US is that we get too caught into those irrigated fields, and we forgot about the huge potential of native grasslands. So let's take a quick tour of the ranch, and that was in summer with 6 inches of accumulated precipitation to that point. And that's before getting to my ranch. I have to drive like 40 miles of dirt road to get to the ranch. And then that's one of the spots that I hate. That's a ranch nearby my ranch. So you see how the water cycle is broken there. Hard pan, nature trying to keep the last seed bank there with a hard pan. And then it rains, and we keep praying for rain, but really nothing happens because the water cycle is broken. On that same day, I just crossed to my ranch in a couple of hours, and this is what I saw in my ranch. Same precipitation, same area, just different management. Now, this is in spring. Don't think about the springs like very nice springs, because we seldom get winter rains or snow once in a while, but not really. So our springs are still dry. So we have to keep in mind that we have to take that cattle all the way from September all the way through August, because it doesn't rain grass, right? We have to wait for the grass to grow. So we had to stockpile all the grass during the whole period. So there was another occasion where I was driving to my ranch, and if you see on the upper left, then you see the first property that I hate is under set stocking continuous grazing. That's what happened when we never move the cows or whatever ruminants or animals we had there. Lots of soil lost. Even the mesquite cannot deal with that. Then on the right side, on the upper right side, you have a nearby property, my ranch. I mean, I'm driving, imagine that I'm driving on the same day, right? So it was the same day. On the right side, you have rotational grazing, where you have few animals rotating through, let's say, 10, 20 pastures, and you still have overgrazing and overwasting the same pastures. I mean, when we talk about overgrazing and overwasting, it's individual plants. Unfortunately, the last plants that remain there are the tobosa grass, because they are the ones that could support that overgrazing taking place. But even in that case, the tobosa, you're gonna see tobosa that is very oxidized. We don't want to see oxidized grasses in our ranches, because that doesn't help anyone. It doesn't help wildlife, it doesn't help the microbiology, it doesn't help our cows. Now, if you see the picture at the bottom, that's when I actually reached my ranch on the same day. So you see the color of the grass is different. You see the mesquites are actually doing much better, and so on. So you can see here how we're facing different realities based on our management. That's a neighbor on the south of my ranch. And that's where we start struggling with the scientific community, with the academia, with the institutions, because they always claim, you know, we have to reduce the cattle numbers. No, we don't have to reduce the cattle numbers. We have to change our management. The cow is not the problem, it's how we manage those cows. The other part is my neighbor. This is in the spring. Remember, the last time that it rained there, it was like 6 months before. So you see on the outer side of that fence, it's all oxidized. Nothing is growing. The inner part is our ranch. It's greening up. Same rain, different management. I'm carrying like 4 times more cattle per acre than my neighbor. Picture of a tobosa grass. Same grass, different management. The left side is on my ranch, the right side is on my neighbor ranch. So we're always looking for the leaf to stem ratio. Your grasses are going to look different with different management. Remember, at the end of the day, we are looking for more leaves on our grasses. If you have a lot of oxidized and stems, well, that grass is sick. That grass is actually gelling us to say, I need more animal impact. I need more fertility. That's a closer look from the previous picture. See the difference between on the right side was cut in my ranch, on the left side on a nearby property. Actually, let me tell you something. Or perennial grasses, because of the way we manage, I mean poorly, they behave like annual grasses. Some people believe that in this area, in the Chihuahuan desert, we only have green for a month or 2 months. No way. Now we have green year around, thanks to planned grazing management. So that's going to change drastically the way we see things. I like this picture because it's actually taken on the same day during the growing season. And the left picture is on a nearby property, my ranch. And the right picture is my ranch, taken the same day. So we keep praying for more rain. But it's all about the only solution to this is just change your management. We as ranchers are always very busy. We usually don't document. We just work, and then we expect good things, and good things come, and we keep working, and It's a never-ending thing. But I took the time from 2015 to take a picture on the same spot. And I put some numbers here because some people keep asking me, okay, so what was the rainfall? So on that 2015, we have 12 inches of rainfall. And see, did it make a difference? Not much. Look at the back. We call that the Elephant Butte, that specific mountain range. Now, we skip to 2018, and now you start seeing more weeds. Now, on 9-inch year precipitation. Now, we skip to 2021, and now, with 11 inches, we start seeing more perennial and annual grasses. That's how these things start evolving from bare ground to some vegetation. So how come can we do all that with just 10 inches of precipitation? It is really that it's just animal impact. You know, the cows have 7 tools to help us. 4 hooves, kind of cheating there, right? Saliva, and manure, and urine. But there's something else besides that. I like this picture. It's not particular from my ranch, but it's from a ranch nearby mine. And that picture really tells me a lot, because where there's raining, there's vegetation, and there's a guy practicing holistic management, regen ranching. On the right side is actually a guy that is still on a talking continuous grazing. I do believe that the more vegetation we have, the more rain we're gonna get. Because that's what we're seeing on ranches in Chihuahua. All the ranches that are practicing some kind of holistic regenerative ranching, they are getting more rain. So I was driving to my ranch, and I stopped by like at 30 miles away from my ranch, and I saw those clouds. Those were on top of my ranch. Some rain that I captured on satellite. Obviously, one very important thing is how much water you can infiltrate when it rains. Do you think we infiltrate like 50% or 20%? Well, I did a couple of tests there on the bare ground, and I was able, based on the NRCA tables, to actually infiltrate 2 inches per hour. On the right picture, where I've been practicing more intensive grazing long rest periods, I was able to infiltrate 18 inches, which I don't even get it, but I had the capacity to infiltrate that. And many people complain about ranchers saying, oh, it takes a lot of water to produce 1 pound of beef or 1 kilo. But we have to see the whole picture, guys. If we actually see the difference between these two management and extrapolate that just to my ranch, 30,000 acre ranch, we could meet the needs, the water needs, for a 100,000 population town for a full year. Think about the responsibility we have as ranchers on the water cycle. Another issue is the temperatures. I was in northwest New Mexico, and we were measuring the temperature there. And they told me here on this part of New Mexico, it never goes above 85. This year, we're getting 100 degrees. So we were like at 3 or 4 p.m., and we pointed that thermometer to grasslands, and they were like 105. Not bad, right? Just 5 degrees. When we pointed that thermometer to bare ground, it was 154 Fahrenheit. Now remember, now we're adding up a lot of stuff. What is the first line of defense for us to lower the temperature? It's not the skin in the soil, it's the clouds. If we don't have vegetation, we're not creating more clouds. Second one, what is our infiltration rate in our ranches? Are we getting 3 inches, but only infiltrating, I don't know, half an inch? And then what happens when we infiltrate only that half an inch? Do we get that 154 Fahrenheit? So we are always in constant drought mode. So we know the wonders of the cows and how great they are for, or the cows or horses or donkeys or sheep, how great they are, to help us change the environment. What about the soil engineers? Who are these guys? How about that cow pie? I found this cow pie recently in a ranch in Kansas. And the first things that I do when I go to the ranch is look at the cow pies. Because remember, a cow pie is a microclimate, and it has to have life in it. You know what I found there? An oxidized cow pie. Because they are using ivermectin. They are spraying their pastures. They are killing all the insects. And those are the soil engineers. That cow pie is, they are handicapped. They are constrained about what they are doing because a cow pie that get oxidized is almost useless. We couldn't even find the ants. We couldn't find any termites. We couldn't find any dung beetles. How about in my place? I don't use any of that stuff. So I have between 80 and 150 dung beetles working my cow pies. Those are the soil engineers. Have you seen a side view of what the dung beetles do? That's a side view. They are really doing great things for us if we don't kill them. Putting about 2/3 of the cow pie into the soil, plus reducing up to 90% the fly population. That's what it means to work with nature. That's a cow pie that actually was worked with dung beetles, and that's you're creating a microclimate there. You're growing something, not just staying there a cow pie oxidized. Think about it. If we got a cow putting 60 pounds of manure per day, and we're grazing 100,000 pounds per acre, the dung beetles are moving 12 tons of soil per acre per day. Something else I want to share with you today about the same topic, the soil engineers. We know you see that mesquite that is dry, right? It's dead. It's drying up. I did not apply any chemical, otherwise I telling you one story about not killing the insects and then applying chemicals to kill the mesquite. That wouldn't really make any sense. It's actually the management we have that is killing the mesquite. I don't know if you can see that picture. It's the mesquite is on the back and then more mesquites dying. But isn't it that the mesquites are really bringing something great? Like it's a legume, right? Putting some nitrogen and some shade. To nature know that we don't really need any longer the shade because the grasses are actually cooling down the soil, protecting the soil. Think about these pictures, guys. The mesquite is dying. We did not spray anything. Then we had this beetle coming and pruning those branches. So those branches of the mesquite are falling down. And then the termites are coming into play and taking those branches and putting it into the soil. And then you got this cycle. Nothing gets wasted in nature. It's everything working as long as we don't kill them. They're going to help us control something that we're spending millions in the US fighting the mesquite. Or fighting the cholla, you put the name, or fighting the juniper, or just the sagebrush, whatever you want to put there on the name. Do you know that the termites have a great gut full with nitrogen-fixed bacteria? So they're actually taking all that dead material and putting nitrogen into the soil. Very typical view in the Chihuahuan desert. Yeah, we have grass, we have biomass, but it's all oxidized. What's helping that? I mean, it's not helping the wildlife, it's not helping the soil microbiology. And we think that only fire can actually fix this stuff. Well, I forgot about that. We don't use fire. I mean, well. So what if I tell you that the termites in my place are taking down that oxidized grass and putting, instead of just wasting that oxidized grass, they're actually taking that and converting it into nitrogen in the soil. So let's give you a quick sum up of the difference between conventional ranching and regen ranching. So for me, conventional ranching is relying on water sources for drinking water, such as ponds. If we actually want to take advantage of every acre of the ranch, we have to have a good water system across the ranch, for drinking water. We rely on wells in our ranch. We do have still a few ponds, but we always have that way to be able to deal with a drought. Because in a drought, if half of your ranch is relying on ponds, and you don't get the rain, suddenly you're gonna end up having just half of your ranch, and that's gonna make things more complicated. Lack of understanding and education. I mean, we are always trying to get back to what our grandparents and great-grandparents did, and that doesn't work anymore because we don't have those healthy grasslands anymore. So we do believe in education and outreach. Too much emphasis on killing life. We're still on that mode on competition. Oh yeah, that cholla is displacing my grass. Oh, that mesquite is taking all the water. Oh, that juniper, I have to burn or kill that juniper. There's no competition in nature. It's collaboration. If you have a landscape that you don't like, I'm sorry, that's a reflection of your management. But that can be changed. Too few cows staying too long on the same pasture, returning too soon. I don't know why we have this tendency as ranchers that we have a little bit of green up and we turn in the cows. We need to respect the rest periods for the grasses, and then we can graze. I see too few pastures on the ranches. I'm talking about more than 300 paddocks in my ranch. Short rest periods and long rest periods. I've seen in many ranches multiple herds of cattle across the ranch, 20, 50, 40. That will not help us with the management. I want to have just one, whatever it's called, herd or flock or flock, whatever. And I throw everything there. The cows, the sheep, the donkeys, the horses, saddle horses, mares, everything has to be there. If I see an animal that is not there, well, there are two exceptions. The bulls, because we have a breeding season, and also the cool cows, because we have a very strict cooling selection. Many people talk about, oh, we have to do this predator thing to move the cows. We don't do that, folks. We are trying to get the trust of our herd so they follow us. So the herd knows that wherever we go, they will follow us because we're taking them to greener pastures. So we are trying to become the leader of the herd. But there's one instance where we act as a predator, which is when we are cooling. We're looking and comparing against peers, and based on body condition and hair coat and fertility, we cool them. We put in a nice pasture and we sell them. I mean, the conventional ranchers, they take that cow, put it into the corral, get it back, and now go back. We'll never make any progress that way, because we need our cows to help us regenerate our places. And that ties back to, well, using one species of animal. I do believe that if we are going to mimic nature, we have to have more than cows. I bought this ranch some donkeys. And they say, well, yeah, those are good for taking care of the cows. I did buy them because they are eating something else that the cows are not eating. Why forcing one kind of animal to do the whole thing? If in nature that doesn't really happen. Pamper animals, I mean, that ties back to selection. Buying bulls and replacing heifers every year. If we really want to have an animal that actually fits exactly to your management and your land, you have to promote genetics from within. You have to raise your own bulls at some point. That's the goal. You have to keep all the heifers, because nobody's going to sell you an animal that will fit perfectly. We're always dreaming, oh, if I got that bull, then that will make miracles. No, it will not. I mean, that's the starting of a journey of selection and culling. And calving during the cull or non-growing season, we want a cow during the growing season, whatever is that for you, whatever that means for you. Believe and you will. I mean, that's not a solar donkey. That's a guy that actually was intentional, not intentional-ish, to make things happen, and he did not have roads coming all the way up to where he has to put electric fence. So he used the donkey to carry that solar energizer. Some references. That's the end of my presentation. Thank you, guys.
Check, check. If anybody's got a question for Mr. Alejandro. Yes.
How long did it take to, I don't know how to phrase it, what do you do about deworming your animals if you're not using ivermectin? That's the question I'm always getting from my ranch manager. She wants to deworm twice a year.
Well, there's more than one consideration there. Obviously, we start with a very degraded land. The nutrition is not going to be there, right? You agree with me? Because the grass is going to be pretty tough, and it will not have much green. So I would prefer for you to actually, because remember, when we start, we're always still very exposed to the drought, because our roots are very shallow, our grass is very sick, and most likely we don't have really cattle completely adapted to our environment. You may. It depends. That's why we actually like to have like this ratio of saying, if I go, let's say that I get rid of ivermectin, because I want to promote those bioengineers, right? I have a threshold of 20% per year. If I'm going over, and if I'm culling, let's say 5 times per year, that means that I gotta get rid of 4% of the cattle there that are doing poorly. But if I'm seeing that the cows are going above that 20%, then I have to change my management. So maybe I need to provide some hay or some cake or some protein blocks. But I already quitted that ivermectin. But if it's only 20%, then I'm doing fine. I mean, you always have to look at what the cows are actually having ticks. But the only way for you to actually get rid of those ticks is eventually finding that cow that is doing pretty well within your management and trying to get a bull from that cow, if it looks like a bull, obviously. Did I answer your question, sir? Okay.
I think we've got one here in the back.
Only 2 questions, sir. Not just kidding.
I was wondering if you alluded to this a little bit in terms of being a leader for the animals, but I was wondering if you had specific tools or modalities of stockmanship you use to achieve that on your ranch.
Can you repeat the question?
I I was wondering, you alluded to this a little bit in terms of wanting to be a leader for the cattle and that they know you're leading them to greener pastures. I was wondering if you have specific modalities or tools and stockmanship you use to achieve that.
Yes, we're strong believers of stockmanship. And it did not happen from one day to the next one. I mean, I had pretty wild cattle when I joined the ranch. And when I remember when we put the poly wire, it got broken multiple times. Like, oh my God, let's put it back. And let's put it back. And then we identify those crazy cows and we get rid of them. And then slowly but surely, they start getting tame and more tame and more tame. And then I remember a time where see, that's the problem. Well, we use horses. And really love, I mean, we move twice a day and we use horses in the morning and we actually change on foot in the afternoon. So they get used to both. But there will be a time when the cows are going to start following you. It doesn't matter where you walk, they're all going to follow you. But obviously, we try to always have the cows comfortable and low stress stockmanship as well. But it's going to happen over time. They're going to trust you on wherever you walk. They're going to trust you where you're going. Actually, I have a case where I have a cow next to me following me, and I knew that cow wasn't really one of the leader cows. So she was trying to communicate. Remember early this morning about all the communication going on with the animals, with nature to us. We have to really very observant on everything that is going on at the ranch. So that cow was telling me that she couldn't find her calf. Unfortunately, her calf was drowned in a drinker. So she was telling me, and I said, well, what's cooking here? Oh, I know. And well, fortunately, I found that. But it's this constant communication. Even people many times ask me, how do you know when to move the cows in the desert? Because remember, the desert is not like all is all like grass. It's patches of grass. So we always play with the time and look at the behavior of the cow. It's kind of more an art than a science. I cannot give you a formula right now because we're gonna miss the mark. That's what we like to call this also adaptive grazing. Because you look at your animals, you look at the grass, and then cows could trick you as well. Say, no, we just wanna get the top of the cream and then move us. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna take a look at that paddock I calculated one day. Do you still have some grass? Well, I'm gonna wait a little bit for you to start working. And we spend time with the cows. We just don't go there and open the gate. We just be there. They are all together, and we spend 1 hour just observing. Remember, now I'm at the predator. But they don't move until we tell them to move. We don't want the cows to rush the gate. If you're gonna spend some time on this matter, spend it with your cows before they move. And then once you make a noise or you start getting that reel going, now they're gonna walk.
Can you tell us what your ideal cow looks like?
Oh man, that's hard. I love Angus. No, just kidding. I don't care about the breed. Obviously, I don't want a high milking cow on the desert, but it's been working great with black Angus, red Angus, what we call rodeo or corrientes. I mean, they all have to be selected. Hereford as well. They all have to be selected, and that selection and culling has to be ongoing thing. So you ended up, see, I don't have I have a crossbreed, but I have friends who have Hereford, black Angus, red Angus, even Charolais. But it's not red Angus or black Angus or Hereford. It's the ranch name, the breed. Because at the end of the day, you end up with a breed that you have particular to your management and your ranch. It's not any longer a black Angus or red Angus. It's, let's say, for example, Las Damas, Hereford, cows. It's all about selection and culling. We as ranchers have that great tool that farmers do not have. I mean, I'm not a farmer, so you can notice that. Kind of paint a line there. But we have that great tool for selecting and culling. And that's how I like that beauty of actually raising your own bulls. Because your hand is not like shaking, oh man, it cost me 5,000 or 10,000. no, take it to the corral and feed it and take it back. No, don't do that. Just sell it and raise your own.